Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Welcome back to a new video where today we're going to talk about, well, something new, something we haven't talked about in a while, which is the death of Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, and Ram. Yes, I'm being facetious. We've talked about this many times before, but I found an article, couple places on the internet that I had to share with you, and I wanted to just drive a point home for Dodge, the execs at Dodge, Tim Kuniskis, to keep fighting the fight and keep trying to get Stellantis to stop on the dangerous and catastrophic path that they're on and throw the car in reverse, sorry for the pun, and fix this before it's too late. With that said, I gotta think it's too late. Why? Because these are not people who will listen. These are not people who are going to take any direction from their customer base, and they are going to continue to build things. This thing is awesome. All right, so where was I? Let's try to pick up where I left off. Bottom line is, I don't think there's any hope or chance that Stellantis stops blowing up Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Chrysler. That I think is a foregone conclusion. But this article that I found, I'm going to just go over with you all. It makes the point that I think needs to be made, and something that helps reinforce what we're saying. And if maybe somebody at Dodge, somebody at Stellantis stopped to listen and realized that, look, so far you're failing. You're failing with the all the Chryslers. I mean, they're down to one car. Maseratis failed. Nobody wants a damn Fiat. Nobody wants a Hornet. Like, you guys are building a bunch of things that nobody wants, especially in America. You're firing all the American employees and outsourcing everything, which even takes more incentive away from us to buy those cars. That this is a path to destruction. Now, the reason why I really want to double down on this and drive this point home is I believe if they continue to destroy it, it could be resurrected if it were to be sold or spun off to some other company. If that were to happen, then there's a chance. And we've seen it happen with so many companies over the years where the companies end up being sold and find their way back to building some pretty interesting and cool cars again. And in this case, could you imagine if they blow up Dodge, they kill Dodge, Ram, Jeep, and Chrysler, and then they just decide, well, shut it down. We've built all these cars that nobody wants. Let's go ahead and liquidate all that stuff and just sell the thing. Then a new company buys it. Let's just say it's an American company buys it, and that company revives the Hemi and builds electric cars to offset all the carbon credit issues, but does it in the right order, which Stellantis has done it in the wrong order. Had they done Ford Mach-E look-alike under Dodge, they would have been able to continue with the gas engines just like Ford has done. And I heard today that Chevy's going to continue with the gas engines. So these manufacturers built enough EVs early on to be able to get their credits, their carbon credits and hybrids, etc. Yet Dodge just didn't. And now they're going to go all EV, which is insane. So before I pop my screen up, let me just tell you a real quick little analogy or story, a little bit of both, that what I found being in business for now 30 years of my life and being surrounded by some incredibly talented and wealthy people who have built humongous businesses, that when I met a few of these people when they were just starting off and just building those businesses, they had humility. They were still grounded. They were still asking lots of questions to their staff, their employees, the people around them, to verify and confirm that they're making the good decisions on their path forward with their dream business. And then one company that I worked for 15 years, it started off as just a dead company, and they took over a bunch of failing offices, and over 15 years built this gigantic, awesome $40 million revenue, 10 office, great company. And then they got to a place to where they had believed that they were delicate geniuses, that there wasn't a need to ask questions as much anymore. They didn't need to seek out answers from the people on the ground as much. And between the husband and wife, if one of them had the idea of listening to the customers, listening to their people, their employees, the other one didn't, because they are the end all know all geniuses of the industry. And that level of arrogance, that level of hubris got them to a place to where they started making critical decisions, catastrophic decisions that led to the ultimate demise of that company. And after 15 years, I had to make my way out of that company after watching that these people were not capable of not destroying themselves. And it seems crazy, because if any of us got a chance to be that wealthy, we probably wouldn't screw it up. At least we tell ourselves we wouldn't now. But there's something that happens in the human mind when lots and lots of wealth is bestowed upon you, especially when it's at your own hand and hard work, that it's pretty easy to start to think that you're the smartest person in the world and stop listening and stop doing the things you originally did. And I feel like what's happening at Stellantis and Dodge and Chrysler and Jeep Ram, and we've got a whole bunch of people that have been making so much money the last 5 years that now they all think they're delicate geniuses. They all think they're visionaries. Carlos Tavares thinks he's the most intelligent human being in the world, and he makes more money than anybody could ever imagine. So who's going to tell him that he's doing something wrong? Nobody. He's not listening to anyone at this point. He's going to double down and triple down. Doesn't matter. Nobody's buying the Hornets. Doesn't matter the Grand Cherokee was a colossal failure. It doesn't matter of all the mistakes they've been doing. In the end, you know what? He knows better. Doesn't matter that Hornets are sitting around collecting dust, and when they do sell, they break. Ignore that. Let's go ahead and do this. Doesn't matter that Fiat, that he calls the crown jewel of their brand, doesn't sell any damn cars, and now they're going to deliver this little teeny, thing that looks like a Croc shoe, and they're going to sell it with an EV in it, and it's still going to have fairly crappy range, despite how small the car is. And they're not going to sell any of those things. There's very few of them. It's going to be just a fun toy because it's going to be overpriced. So that's what I think has happened at Dodge, and that's sad. And Stellantis is the hubris is out of control. They know everything, and we know nothing. And we're gonna take that electric car and we're gonna like it. They're gonna give us that thing, and we're gonna like it, and we're gonna buy it, and we're gonna have to enjoy it. Well, they thought that with the Hornet, the gateway to muscle, and that didn't go anywhere. So let me pop my screen up now and share with you the articles I found. So I found this article, this website, Dealer Refresh, and it was fun to watch some of the interesting commentary that's taken place on here going back to February 2024. This guy writes, I run Google ads for franchise car dealers, including several Stellantis stores in Texas, Florida, and Georgia. It's getting worse every month. A few insights. I've noticed considerable drops in OEM leads from Jeep, Ram, etc. Jeep Gladiators are creeping up 90 days at every location, and they are all flush with Dodge Chargers and Challengers, 60 to 80 units. Meanwhile, Stellantis wants to market the Hornet, which dealerships typically have fewer than 5 of. It's a Stellantis problem. GMC dealers still get over MSRP on anything with an AT4 badge. Hyundai is strong, Ford and Toyota are steady. Then let's go back to November, where the car dealership guy on Instagram posted this, and this other guy writes, tracking some not so great news for Stellantis, their Ram, Jeep, Dodge, Chrysler dealerships. Anyone in the dealer refresh community able to report back? Well, car dealership guy called this out back in November. What is Stellantis' plan for the dealers being crushed by floor plan? I have several Stellantis stores, and even after the strike, we are turning down cars. It's too expensive to carry, and cars move way too slow. How are they going to make things easier for dealers to acquire and sell inventory? This guy says, yep, I work at a Stellantis store. They're making us order cars we don't sell, and most of our inventory is $50,000 to $80,000 vehicles. Incentives are good, but we just had the worst month in store history. Plus, after the strike ended, the invoice prices were increased. Well, then we come back down here, and they are dropping the prices, and they talk about it a little bit down here. Here it is on February 15th. Is re-invoicing indicative of potential issues? For instance, the Jeep Summit Overland models have seen reduction in MSRP by 4,000, and the Limited by 3,500. Laredo, excluding the 4x2 base models, by 2,000. We're expecting new window stickers, but none have arrived yet. And here's him talking about the Stellantis. Moreover, we find that this particular OEM is the most challenging to collaborate with among those we deal with, including Ford, Lincoln, Kia, Mazda, Mitsubishi. Our interactions with Denver business office have been less than satisfactory, with representatives often lacking in capability to the point where our OG new car manager is more knowledgeable. We're being constrained by Stellantis' corporate policies and poor communication. And it goes on, and you can go Google all this stuff, but this guy writes, I've been saying Stellantis is screwed for months now. Ram is the only viable product. Without massive rebates or incentives, their core client base simply can't afford their vehicles. That's going to be important more later. Don't even get me started on the Hornet. Have you guys seen how expensive they are? I don't know a single person outside of the car industry who knows what a Hornet is, let alone willing to spend $30,000 plus on one. Big problems. They've also loaded the dealers with Challengers and Chargers they can't sell. My clients, who are mostly in warm weather states, are loaded with all-wheel drive GTs. It's a race to the bottom on these cars. Wrangler 4xe and Gladiators can't be given away, up to 23% off here in Texas. This guy John says, and Stellantis wants to run commercials for the Hornet, which some dealers don't even have. Plus, it cannibalizes the Jeep lineup. That's a great point. And it goes on and on and on about how bad things are over there. So then I just Googled, Stellantis killing Dodge dealers, and anybody can do this. And I'm telling you, it's pages and pages and pages. It's not just me saying this stuff. But this is the article I found. The new Dodge Charger cannot fail, or Stellantis will have another lost brand. And I will tell you, I think that is the understatement of the year. This article's recently written, and I think it's probably the best one out there, making the point that if people don't buy this new EV thing, they have nothing. And it just really gets into some details to explain why. But the new Dodge Charger will be showing up on the internet. This is a month and a half, 2 months ago. On Tuesday morning, it's a huge deal for Stellantis, which finds itself with far too many brands undergoing identity crises. Dodge is on the verge of becoming one of those brands, which is why there is simply no room for failure with the new Dodge Charger. It has to succeed because it is the Dodge brand. You may have read in the news that last week Stellantis killed off the Wagoneer brand and will roll the models into the Jeep lineup. Detroit News quoted Jeep brand CEO Antonio Filosa and wrote about why Jeep is giving up the Wagoneer. Well, I think we understand, and he explains it here. And we understood the story about the Wagoneer, and it's not a very fluent story. But let's go back down here and just see that their idea was, I'll go down here, Filosa made clear the effort is dead, and the two high-end SUVs will be converging in the Jeep brand, long considered one of the most valuable names in the automotive history. And here's what it says, what they were trying to do. And I've said this many other times in the past. I'm glad they made this point, is what Jeep was trying to do, what Stellantis is trying to do, is to compete with the Land Rovers. These Grand Wagoneers were so utterly ridiculously expensive that even my wife, who saw one and thought that would be a nice option, her first thought was, well, we could save some money instead of buying another Land Rover. Let's take a look at those. They look nice. So we went over and looked at the window sticker on one, and it was like $117,000. And she turned around and laughed, and she says, not for a freaking Jeep, or not for a Dodge product. It's not happening. Are you kidding me? I'll buy a Range Rover, a Land Rover for $88,000, $89,000. And look, similar reliability issues, but a way sexier car all the way around for a lot less money. And as they said here, the Range Rover brand earned its reputation over decades that it offered an SUV that was truly novel in its day. It was early to the Luxo SUV craze, and that made it a household name. It was creating a brand based on a 30-year-old name, and the two body-on-frame SUVs are not that different than a Cadillac Escalade. Really going to work at Stellantis? Maybe over time, with a few more models, it could have gained traction. Maybe. But the bottom line is, let's forget about the Wagoneer. There's more trouble for Chrysler Dodge here. So let's look at Chrysler. This is all they got. They got a Pacifica and a Pacifica plug-in hybrid. Yeah, there's some 300s still dragging out there right now and hanging around on lots. Even some Hemi 300s sitting out there. But this is it. Could you imagine an entire brand? This is all they got? That's just embarrassing. Now let's look at Ram. The Ram lineup, it's a bunch of pretty much the same trucks till you get to the big, huge work trucks, and all their starting prices are jokes. Their starting prices, by the time you get to the dealership, they're way higher. Now they're starting to come down with all the incentives because they've got so many damn trucks available. The 2025s are already landing at dealerships over the top of 2024s and 2023s that are still sitting on lots. And if you look hard enough, you'll find 2022 brand new trucks still sitting there. It's insane. So it goes on to say, yes, the Ram brand, like Chrysler and Wagoneer, is weak. Spinning it off of Dodge still seems silly, not just because Dodge Ram clearly has lots of staying power that should be leveraged, but also because having an entire brand based on essentially just a couple models, a van, and various version of a full-size pickup is absurd. Stellantis clearly knows about this to some degree. If you hop over to Dodge's website, you'll see right at the bottom of all the vehicles pulled down, there's a link for the Ram trucks. So bottom line is, whenever I've accidentally called them Dodge trucks, and you guys beat me up in the comments that it's Ram. So like Wagoneer, Chrysler, and to a lesser extent Ram and Fiat, Maserati, and Alfa Romeo, if we're being honest, he says, I don't have time to get into those. Dodge is on the verge of losing itself. As recently as 2016, it offered a Dart small sedan, a relatively fresh Durango big SUV Charger sedan, a Challenger coupe, a Caravan minivan, a Journey small SUV, and a Viper supercar. It's a pretty damn expensive lineup. Still not at the level of, say, Toyota, Ford, and Chevy, but that's a pretty solid range of offerings. Let's fast forward to now. Dodge literally has two cars in production, the Durango and the Hornet. And now they're coming out with this Charger EV thing, and that's what these dealers are going to have to sell. That's all they have. It is insane. If this isn't the company just trying to kill off a brand, then I don't know what is. And they're putting all of their, what do they think? Is Durango going to save them? Hornet going to save them? No, they think that EV thing is going to save them. He says, that's all. There's the Durango, which has been out since 2011 for 14 years. There's a Dodge Hornet, whose owners have been struggling with all sorts of issues that one might expect from a car sharing an Alfa Romeo platform. And now here comes the Charger, for which Stellantis put out a press release yesterday titled Dodge Set to Reveal Brand's Next Generation Charger Muscle Car. That press release describes the Charger brand thusly, and I'm not even going to get into it. They try to sell this EV thing to us and as a performance brand, yet these are going to be these monster, outrageously heavy beasts that can get beat by cars like the Hyundai Ioniq and others out there. So he goes on to say, look at all those references to the now dead Charger and Challenger, and you'll see what I mean by my headline. Especially after the death of the Viper and other models, Dodge built pretty much its entire brand identity on that L-Car platform. And now the L-Car platform is gone. So you can see how, if Dodge wants the world to see it as a performance brand, the new Charger simply cannot fail. Or else Dodge will fall into the same spiral-facing Chrysler, Ram, Wagoneer, Alfa, Fiat, and Maserati. The old bone Durango, even the most powerful SUV, the SRT Hellcat version, and the slow-selling and fast-braking Hornet, with its best-in-class standard performance, whatever the hell that means, aren't enough to prop up Dodge as a performance brand. You can surround that Hornet with all the V8 Chargers and Challengers in the world, but you're not fooling anyone. And I won't go on further and just be the guy that's just reading my this article to you. I'll put it in my description below so you can go read it. But the reason I thought I would do this video is to drive this point home that they're killing it, and I think we all just need to have a funeral for them. All these videos that I've been doing and TK's been doing, Butter and so many others talking about Dodge. Heck, go look at Ray and Zach. They did a whole thing on Stellantis and Dodge yesterday, and it was just embarrassing how many cars they've got for sale that they can't move. and the dealers and the ridiculous behavior and everything that's led to this place, and the rumors that AutoNation might be leaving the Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Chrysler brands completely. If that happens, that'll be a big blow and newsworthy. With all this horrible news and the bad direction they're going, from laying off all these U.S. employees and having the employees now be out of these places like Brazil and India and other countries, that this company is just saying, screw it. We don't want anything to do with the U.S. And I think in the end, they don't want anything to do with Dodge. They're hoping that Dodge Charger shows up at the dealers and they sell out. But I'm going to bet you anything, those things aren't selling. And what we can do, if we want that Hemi back, if we want to see that company get resurrected, then we just have to stay firm, keep telling them how much we love the brand. This is tough love, by the way. This isn't me trying to hurt a company or trash a company or just be nasty for the sake of being nasty. It's because I don't want to see them go away. I don't want to have to go out there and buy a Chevy or a Ford. That's not been who I am as a person. I love Dodge, and they're taking it away. And we're screaming, please don't go. Please don't go. Please don't go. Come on. Wake up, everybody. Figure out a way to build us a Hemi. Hell, even the twin-turbo inline-six, that twin-turbo six-cylinder engine is going to be a good car. I think it'll be a great car. It's something I might even consider after test driving it, seeing how I feel about it. But they should have launched that first and then launched the EVs later. They should have called the EVs, the SXTs, the GTs. They should have called the six-cylinder, the gas engine, a Scat Pack, and an RT. And they should have sold those first and helped transition us over closer towards these more efficient cars. But instead, they're going to hit us with this almost 6,000-pound EV and tell us you can't have the gas engine for another year. But by the way, you can go try it out in the new Ram RHO, which is supposed to replace the TRX, but it's not going to replace TRX. It's not a TRX replacement, but they're going to get rid of the TRX. But the RHO is going to be in place of the TRX. It looks just like the TRX, but it's got a six-cylinder in it. But then maybe they'll bring back the TRX later, and maybe it'll be a hybrid. I don't even think they know. What a disaster all the way around. So with that said, everybody, let me know your thoughts on this. Do you think they're killing it? I think they're killing it. I think there's no chance in hell that Dodge Charger EV gets any traction. I think these dealers are dead meat. They're going to be sitting on those things, and they're going to be just sucking up juice from their electrical panels, trying to keep all those things charged in their parking lot. So a customer every 90 days can come in and test drive one, and as they're sitting there discharging on their batteries and rotting while they sit still. So with that, everybody, please like, subscribe, comment, let me know your thoughts, share this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.